In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my prediction on the 2022 Senate midterms. And the 2022 Senate midterms is actually right around the corner. It's in about a year from now, I believe 11 months. And we're gonna be going over, or I'm gonna be going over my prediction on every single battleground state, only battleground states. And first, let's start off with Nevada. I actually think Nevada at this point, and by the way, these are the standings as of today. This is what I think. How the Senate midterms as of today stand currently. Not my final prediction, but as of today, how things are looking like, and which party has the momentum. So first, let's start with Nevada. I think Nevada will go to whoever the Republican nominee is, and we obviously know in some races we don't know the official candidates. But we are getting a little bit of an idea as of right now, because like I said, it's 11 months from now, but we are getting somewhat of an idea, and these are the standings and current standings on where things stand for the 2022 Senate midterms as of today, this month, whatever you want to call it. What I'm going to do to make this video shorter is I'm actually going to not go over that much. I'm not going to go over that much into detail in the more boringer states, so we're actually going to go into more detail in the more, competitive states that people are looking forward to seeing, like Arizona. We're going to move on to Arizona. Now, Arizona is actually a pretty much tricky one for me, because back in 2018, Mark Kelly, the Democrat, won, and at the time it was a Republican state in the presidential level. And then in 2020, he won re-election for Senate, and he beat Martha McSally, who Martha McSally, as we all know, is a weak Republican candidate, or was a weak Republican candidate at the time. She did not match up well with Mark Kelly. And Democrats at the time were pretty happy and comfortable about Mark Kelly, and they knew that having Mark Kelly means good news for them in Arizona. And honestly, they should have been proud at the time, which they were of Mark Kelly. But now is not back then. We're talking about now, and things change, and things are changing in favor of the Republican Party. So that's why I'm going with Mark Kelly to lose in this race. After I understand he won in the first race, and then he won again in re-election. So how could you not pick him again? Well, first of all, he was facing a weak candidate in Martha McSally, and it's not like she was no match for him. I mean, he only won by 3.5%. It's just Martha McSally and Mark Kelly did not match together. He just had advantages, and, it was shifting towards Mark Kelly at the time. But now, honestly, most things are shifting in favor of the Republican Party, and things are changing. Like I said, back then is not right now. Back then, you can say Mark Kelly was a decent candidate and was probably going to win. But back then is not now, and things have changed in favor of the Republican Party. And that's why I have the Republicans winning in this race by about a percentage point, just by 1%. And that's how close it's going to be either way. 1.3% sounds right. If I were to be exact, I would say 1.3%, but obviously I'm not going to be 100% correct. So I would say by about a percentage point, by 1% for the GOP. So yes, I do expect the Republicans, as of today, this is where it looks like as of today, that as of right now, it looks like the Republicans in Arizona will finally defeat Mark Kelly after Mark Kelly winning by 2 times in a row by a percentage point. So, yeah, and the reason for that is how people in Arizona feel about how they've been treated by Democratic control, because as you know, Arizona is in Democratic control for the most part. I mean, the Senate is in Democratic control because Mark Kelly is the current senator, and then obviously the governor is a Republican. But Joe Biden is also their president. So, and as it looks like right now, this is not just in Arizona, but this is based on the whole United States. 70% of Americans, not just people in Arizona, but 70% of Americans in total. So the vast majority of Americans believe, 70% of them, that the United States is heading into the wrong direction. They're heading onto the wrong track with President Biden being president. And that 70% obviously includes people in Arizona. So, yeah, things have changed. Democrats were fantastic in 2018. Mark Kelly was a huge good candidate. Same with 2020, but guess what? Things have changed, and President Biden has made Democrats across this country look terrible, and also, uh, it has to do with how Biden has been doing in Arizona. According to Arizona's issues are the immigration, which Joe Biden has failed to do, which makes Democrats look bad. Um, and then obviously illegal border crossing causes crime spikes to go up. So they're probably obviously seeing that. They're probably going to, because illegal border crossing causes a spike in crime, because this whole criminal thing at the border and stuff. And COVID obviously has been an issue in Arizona, and it has been an issue with Trump. And people are realizing that it is more of an issue with Biden now. Because if you actually take a look, this is going to be another video. I might make a video about this, but I just want to say this: that when Trump was in office, the U.S., not just Arizona, but the U.S. in total had 200,000 deaths. Yes, that seems a lot, but now with Biden, he already has 700,000 deaths, and he just became president, and he has 3 more years to go. So Biden already has 700,000 deaths, and Trump, before he got out, only had 200,000 deaths. Yes, you can definitely see the voters in Arizona favoring Republicans on how politicians handle COVID, based on the facts. With Biden having 700,000 COVID deaths and Trump only having 200,000 deaths, it makes Democrats look bad, and I think it's going to show that in Arizona that which party is handling COVID better. And it's obviously the Republican Party, because I just told you the facts. Trump only had 200,000 deaths, and Biden has 700,000 deaths. Well, you're probably wondering, well, how much time did Trump have to have 200,000 deaths compared to Biden? Well, Biden got elected in January, and January is next month. The next January is in next month. So that's been about a year. Biden in just 11 months already has 700,000 deaths. And Trump was about the same. Trump had COVID for about 1 year. He had to deal with COVID for about 1 year until he got, kicked out of office. Same with Biden. It's already been a year. So both presidents had COVID for a year now, and Joe Biden obviously has way more deaths in just a year than Trump did. Trump in just a year had 200,000 deaths, and Joe Biden in just a year has already 700,000 deaths. So COVID is going to be favoring Republicans, obviously. So that's another major shift for the GOP in Georgia and in Arizona as well. I'm not going to talk too much about this because we all know who it's going to. I believe if Marco Rubio does run again, I believe he's going to run again. And if he does face Val Demings as an opponent, I think she can be a tough opponent, and she could be at times, and she will be at times. But at this point, the 2022 midterms, in my opinion, is not Val Demings' year. She can run in a later year, but next year is not going to be Val Demings' year. It's just not. She can be she will fight hard, and she will possibly make the race close if she was running in a different year. But I just think this year is not her year. So in that case, Marco Rubio should, be reelected. I mean, he won more than how Trump won, and some argue that Trump is stronger candidate or a stronger politician for the Republicans than he is. And if he wins more than Trump, then yeah, that's pretty much a secure seat. And Val Demings is a good candidate, but just not for this year. Just this year is not her year. And Marco Rubio should win by 7%, which is pretty much likely. And then Georgia is very interesting because I believe John Ossoff back in 2020 has been elected, and obviously 2020 was a Democratic wave year and Democratic shift. Pretty much everywhere across the board went to Democrats and shifted towards the Democrats, and this year it's going to be the opposite, shifting towards Republicans, and even in Georgia, but it's also shifting for Democrats in Georgia as well, because we now have heard that Stacey Abrams is launching her campaign, and I believe that Stacey Abrams is helping the Democrats in Georgia. If it wasn't for Stacey Abrams, Democrats would not be winning Georgia in 2020, and they wouldn't be even close. Well, they wouldn't be closer in 2018. So I think Stacey Abrams is a good, a leader, example, for Democrats in Georgia. I think she fits in Georgia. I think she's built for Georgians, in my opinion. And across Georgia, she's just doing very well. And that's one thing that that worries me for Republicans, is that Stacey Abrams is good example for Democrats. To a very interesting race, probably a lot of people are looking forward to seeing, because this is very interesting between the candidates. We have Jon Ossoff, who recently just won last year, in a Democratic wave year, obviously. Everything shifted towards the left, basically, for the most part. And I believe he's facing a tougher opponent than last year, that's for sure, in Herschel Walker, who's actually... He was a football player, but, he's obviously older. He obviously retired a long time ago. But I don't think football has to do with anything. Maybe, he can be more popular. He's obviously going to be more popular. Whoever watches football and does vote in elections, then yeah, he's going to be more popular. But I think Herschel Walker is I think he's going to make this race. Honestly, I think he's going to end up. He's the reason why the Republicans will win in Georgia and flip it back. And like I said, just like in Arizona, this is not back then. This is now, and things have changed in favor. Actually, in Georgia, it's actually going in favor of Democrats because of Stacey Abrams. And I think if it wasn't for Stacey Abrams, I think Democrats wouldn't be where they are today. In 2018, if it wasn't for her, they wouldn't be closer. And if in 2020, if it wasn't for her in Georgia, they wouldn't have won. And I think that's the reason. Stacey Abrams is a good example for the Democratic Party in Georgia. I think she fits in Georgia, and she belongs in Georgia, and she can help Democrats in Georgia. And that's the reason why, if this wasn't for Stacey Abrams, I think Herschel Walker would win by more. But I have him winning by a percentage point, 1%. That's how close I think it's going to be either way. No one's going to win this by a lot. Whoever wins is going to win it by very little. And Jon Ossoff, look, you have to face it. Jon Ossoff won by 1% last time. And obviously he's facing a different candidate this time who Herschel Walker is a better candidate than who he faced last time. Jon Ossoff is facing a better candidate this time than last time. And guess what? He only won by 1% last time. Or I believe 2%, sorry. And if he's facing a tougher opponent and barely won, then he could very well lose, which I see it that way. But Herschel Walker is not this god who's going to win by so much. No, I think he's going to win by 1%. I think Stacey Abrams can help Jon Ossoff, like I said. She's going to give him some support, obviously. And if it wasn't for Stacey Abrams, like I said, Herschel Walker would win by more. Okay, so let me just say who I have winning in North Carolina. I don't really want to go over that. Obviously, I don't think Tom Tillis is running. I'm pretty sure he announced that he's not going to run anymore. But yeah, I have the Republicans winning by 3%, and yeah, that's just what it is. 3% lean margin as of right now. But we're gonna move on to the state of Wisconsin, and this is very interesting because I have some viewers who live in Wisconsin, and I have a lot of views from other states as well, just such as Florida and California. But California's obviously, we didn't go over that state. That's solid Democrat. But Wisconsin is very interesting, and I do want to say things. I think Ron Johnson is the perfect candidate that the GOP can possibly run, and is the best as of right now. And Ron Johnson, in my opinion, is another Mark Kelly. But instead of Arizona, it's in Wisconsin. And instead of he's a Democrat, he's actually a Republican. And Mark Kelly back in the day, 2018, 2020. But obviously I have Arizona going right now, but that's a different story. That's just how I see Ron Johnson as a perfect candidate for Wisconsin for the GOP. And I don't think there's any good candidate competitive enough for Ron Johnson as of right now. I don't know any Democratic candidate that is well matched with Ron Johnson as of right now. So I'm going to have Ron Johnson winning by roughly by 3%, which barely goes to the lean margin, tilt to lean margin. I'm gonna say lean margin 3%, and the reason why 3% is because he doesn't have a match as of right now. As of right now, he's probably going to win because as of right now, Wisconsin. I mean, look, who does Wisconsin have? I guess Tammy Baldwin. I mean, she lost to, I guess you could say, a weak Republican candidate in the last election. And, I mean, no, she won it, but by very little to a weak Republican candidate, which you could say that, just by 1%. And if she's going to face a tougher opponent and barely won in the last election to a weaker candidate and is facing a tougher one and barely won to a weaker one, she's probably going to lose, and anyone can agree. So, Ron Johnson probably going to win. And now in Pennsylvania, the last and final state, obviously at this point the Republicans will win, but we'll get to that when we finish up Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania, we heard big news in Pennsylvania, and big news just updated, and you can argue for the GOP or in favor of the Democratic Party, but I believe I forgot what his name was, but the so-called front runner who we expected to run actually dropped out of the race, not because he was going to lose and he did horrible in polls, no, because it's personal issues. I believe his wife got divorced with him, ex-wife actually, and then he has personal issues, so he just wants to drop out because he's having hard times. Well, we thought since he was dropped out, this race could go, in favor of the Democrats. But now we've seen that Dr. Oz, I believe he's a celebrity, something like that, is now running, and he doesn't even live in Pennsylvania, which worries me about for Republicans in Pennsylvania. He lives in New Jersey, I believe, and you've seen it. I bet you've seen it that politicians who don't exactly live in the state and run for the state that they don't even live in tend to lose, and you've seen it with Republicans in past elections, and that's what scares me. And it doesn't mean I'm going for the Democrat. I actually think Dr. Oz is very good in Pennsylvania. And you can say that since he doesn't live in Pennsylvania, people are going to be mad. But if you actually take a look at it, Dr. Oz, I believe, is 95% known in Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is actually very close to New Jersey. And, they kind of share that border, as you can see right here. And that's not going to be a huge effect because it's not like he's running in Missouri while he lives all the way in Florida. No, it's right there, right across that borderline. And Dr. Oz, I think he's 95% known, I believe, in Pennsylvania. And in that case, I'm actually going to pick Dr. Oz by roughly by 1.7% to be exact. I should say 2%, 1 to 2%. Tilt margin. It's definitely going to be very close. And yeah, I know this state is since that guy did drop out and Dr. Oz is now running, you can argue it's shifting left and you can also argue it's shifting right. The reason why you can argue it's shifting right because he's 95% well known in Pennsylvania, but you can also argue it's shifting left because he lives in a different state. But if you actually take a look at it, it's not like he's like I mentioned earlier, he's running in Missouri but he lives in Florida. No, those states are right, like they share the border right here, and yeah. That's just what I think. So let me know your opinions down in the comment section below. So as of beginning of December, I do think if the election was held, if the 2022 Senate midterms was held today, I would have the Republicans winning as my final prediction if it was held today. 53 seats. Yes, a major improvement, a vast improvement to the Democrats' 47 seats. Out of all the battleground hot contested races, the Democrats, I believe, would win none at all. I think every single hot contested race will go to the GOP as of today, which is crazy. Because you've obviously seen it in the governor's race that Virginia has shifted to the right. They elected a Republican governor, which no one thought would happen. New Jersey, they didn't, Republicans obviously did not win, but it obviously was closer than they thought. So I know this is not governor's race, but this is, Senate race. I get that. But, that's kind of a hint of what's to come in 2022, which is red waves. And this is the map as of now. So let me know your opinions down in the comment section below. Do you agree 53, Republicans 47?